Hello, and thank you for tuning in today. My name is John Gibbons. Now, since I began this channel, I've covered a wide range of topics in medieval history. Richard III, Henry IV, William Shakespeare, and how William Shakespeare really screwed Richard III over in a very big way. We've also covered medieval relic sellers, the birth of the Renaissance, and indulgences, known by the uninformed as the get out of jail free card. Actually, it wasn't free, it was actually fairly expensive, but you get the idea. Anyway, we've covered these topics, and today we're going to cover a brand new subject. It's called death. Not deaf, where you can't hear, but death, where you can hear, speak, see, eat, breathe, walk, talk, or any number of things you can do when you're ambulatory. Except, look good in a coffin, and that's only if you get a really skilled mortician. Otherwise, you look like Boris Karloff after he's woke up from a nap. But, again, different subject. But today, we are talking about death. In particular, the Black Death, Black Plague, bubonic plague, or the Great Pestilence. A disease which, according to some statistics, killed anywhere between 30 to 60% of the population. In some cases, entire villages were wiped out. In other cases, there were so many dead, there weren't enough living to bury them all. Now, this is a very grim topic. Now, I'm going to admit that before I chose to do this, I didn't know a great deal about it. In fact, my whole method of research previous to this was to watch videos on YouTube. And that's not really research. That's looking for a jumping off point to do real research. So again, with everything I've done here so far, I encourage you, look it up, read it. Use this as a way of getting a little more in your head to get started. But for today's video, I contacted a good friend of mine at the public library who actually has written a medieval dictionary, and he sent me the sections of his dictionary which cover this topic. We also have a pre-recorded guest who will tell us more about it. And again, we're not giving you the whole picture, we're giving you the basics. So use this as a means of learning more. So I encourage you to do that once you've watched this. Thank you, and I'll see you again later.
Hello, my name is J. Raper from Celestial Reclamations. We pick you up when it's time to go, and up or down, we take you there. It's all the same to us. Now, I'm here today to talk to you about the Black Plague. Now, today they call it Yersinia pestis, but then they called it bubonic plague, Black Death, or the Great Pestilence. Whatever you call it, once you had it, it was. And one of my fellow representatives would become Colin. And in those years, between 1346 and 1353, I and my colleagues were very, very busy. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is the Black Plague? Well, I'm here to tell you a few things about it so that you can better understand it. And when it comes for you, you'll know exactly what it is. Of course, today they have things called antibiotics. They'll take it right out of your system. But back then, no, once you had it, it was all over. Now, just so you know, it begins with a flea. That's right, a little bitty flea. Hop, 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 hop. That is jumping off a rat. By the way, the rat got sick too. The flea jumped on you and passed on the sickness. Now, the symptoms were aches, pains, chills. Well, that sounds a little like the flu, doesn't it? But no, it wasn't the flu, because it also came with boils or buboes that came in under the armpit or in the groin and a lot of other embarrassing places, seeping out blood and pus and all other kinds of really disgusting stuff. Wow. So there you have it. That is basically what it was. And of course it killed you. Killed you, killed you, killed you. Can I say that again? Killed you. Alright, I'm done with that. Now, where did it start? Well, it came to Europe from the city of Kaffa, which was under siege by Mongol raiders. Now, the people escaping the siege came to Sicily, and by the time the ships that got there, half the crew was either dead or already meeting their maker. Now, the people in Sicily said, "Get those ships away from here." Unfortunately, by that point, the fleas had already jumped ship and were passing the disease on to the people there. From there, we went into Italy and straight on to the rest of Europe. And we were busy, because up to 60% of the population died from it. 60%. Up to 25 million or higher died during the plague. Oh, well, you know, even one of the kings of England lost a child to it. Oh yes, so no one was immune to what it could do to you. The city of Milan, they took a very active role in preventing its spread there. If someone had it, they locked them in their house and left them there till they died. Of course, they also locked them in there with their family, whether their family had it or not. And by the time it was all over, all the family was dead, and they weren't too happy with the first person that had it. Now, in the city of Florence in Italy, they took a very different approach. They pretended it wasn't there. By the time it was all over, dead were littering the streets. In fact, there were enough people to bury them. Whew. I never thought I'd get through that. I really did. You know how hard it was to get through all that? Whew. You know, it's hard to believe that we deaths can get depressed, but... Oh, well, never mind. You're not here to listen to me, Wayne. So, on into the rest of Europe. Of course, a feudal society like Europe at the time depended on a large number of peasants manning the fields. Well, the plague comes and there are a lot fewer peasants. But the ones who are left can actually charge more money for their work. In fact, they were even abandoning the lords they had worked for all their lives to move over to someone else who would give them more money. It got so bad in England that they actually passed laws that forbid peasants from demanding higher wages or leaving their current employment. And this caused a great deal of resentment, which led to the Peasants' Revolt in 1381. What a lifetime that was. Of course, eventually the plague burned itself out, and Europe was given a respite, but not before they had seen all the horrors of death and decay brought by the plague. Even one of the great Renaissance poets, Boccaccio, wrote a great work that showed the horror of the situation. Oh well, there's plenty more for you to learn, and I encourage you to go looking it up. Please don't use me as your best resource, because there are plenty more out there. Anyway, have a good day, keep well, keep safe, keep learning, and always remember, whether you're a king or a street sweeper, sooner or later, you'll dance with the reaper.
There's lots of cures to help you if you've got the cash. During the plague years, there were dozens of cures, most of which didn't work, and the death toll continued to rise. There were a few sensible suggestions. By that point, it was a little too late. Well, our next segment is all about those cures. So without further ado from me, enjoy.
Bring out your dead!
Hello. Welcome to the Renaissance Rosary and Relics Apothecary. In these days of plague, you need all the help you can get from the great pestilence brought upon us by Satan. Now, there are some wonderful cures if you can afford them. We'll start with the least expensive, and we'll tell you why you should use them. For a start, let's talk about bleeding. You see, illness comes when the four humors that make up the body become out of balance. These are blood, phlegm, bile, and black bile. And when these go out of balance, you need to bleed out the bad humors. This is a tried and true method. Yes, the cemeteries are full of tried and true methods, but this one, we assure you, will work. Then, if that fails, let's talk about chicken bottoms. That's right. We take a chicken, we pluck it, and tie the chicken to the spots that are popping up all over your body to suck the bad humors out. It's a known scientific fact that it works. Of course, if it doesn't, since we know this illness comes from Satan, Lord, protect us from him! Since we know it comes from Satan, as does the serpent, we find a serpent, cut it up, and tie it to your spots, and it will drain the bad, evil humors away from your body. Of course, there are some other methods that are absolutely guaranteed to work. Let's first talk about unicorn horn. Yes, the magnificent unicorn which has graced our world, but so elusive. But if you find a unicorn and cut off its horn and mix it up with your food, you will get better. There are also less exotic cures. If you have a handful of emeralds, we can bash them up and mix those with your food, and you will get better. Or we can use arsenic or mercury. It's guaranteed to free you of the plague. Of course, it might also kill you, but you will be free of the plague. Now, there are a couple of cheaper cures. One is stand next to a sewer. Why, do you ask, will this work? Well, this sickness is also caused by bad, evil smells. And that bad, evil smell is now in you. And you will die! Unless you stand next to a sewer, which has an even greater putrid smell than you. And because of that, the bad smell that makes up your illness will be drawn from your body and enter the sewer. Isn't that wonderful and special? Of course, there's the opposite end. If you use a wonderful smelling herb held close to your mouth, it will fumigate your lungs and drive the smells away. These are some of the cures. There are some more drastic ones, of course. You take this dagger and instead of bleeding yourself, heat it up and jab it into some of the boils on your body. And this will let the bad things out. Of course, there is one other method that will keep you from getting the plague. Stay away from other people who have it. That always works. Just stay away from them. And if you see they're sick, make them stay away in a locked house. You won't catch it that way if they're not near you. Of course. Well, those are just of a few cures that we here at Renaissance Rosary and Relics Apothecary can provide you to help you survive these dark, troubled days. Thank you for coming. plague years between 1346 and 1353 was a grim period in European history. Millions died, charlatans made money, and the change to the social fabric was felt for decades, even centuries yet to come. Now, I've handled the Black Plague with a certain light-hearted touch, but it was a very serious point in our history. And as new pandemics have arisen, we continue to see the lessons that have been learned and should be learned from events like the Black Plague. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell notification so you know when something new is coming. Now, I thank you for watching. If you're watching this on my channel, I thank you. If you're watching this on the Alabama Renaissance Fair's YouTube channel, thank you again. The Alabama Renaissance Fair, although it will not be held this year, we continue to provide events and videos of this kind to take the place of the fair, at least for the time being. So, stay safe, stay home, and keep learning. And thank you.